Hi, I'm Nancy Kopp I work in data warehouse products and strategy and analytics and data warehouse solution products. The technology evolution really has started to apply to data warehousing today. And what I mean by that is when you think about the first mobile phone as a great analogy. Here was this big bag phone that people carried around, and it's not at all what phones look like today, obviously, but what we introduced back then, way back in the 80s, was the capability to make a call and not being tied to a wire, that you could take it with you. And so obviously that has evolved because the demand for that has gone up so tremendously and it's become more optimized. So today there's over 46 billion mobile phones and there's so many to choose from, whether you want to have something integrated with your iPod, whether you want to have a specific type of OS, but it's really been optimized for the usage based on the incredible amount of demand for a mobile phone. Well, the same sort of wave of evolution is happening in data warehousing. The demand that we created in the 80s when we started talking to companies about how you should leverage your enterprise data to make better business decisions has really hit us now. We've created a monster. People know they can't live without data. You could hear it throughout the whole conference this week. You know, leveraging data is an imperative. I heard a great quote at another conference, and the guy said, if you're not one of the companies leveraging data, you're amongst the walking dead. So I think most people realize that we're at the point where demand is so high that we could barely keep up with it. So it's time to look at how do we start to evolve how we build the data warehouse, if nothing else but to keep up with demand. And then there's all the new technology coming at us. So everybody's talking about big data, right? And the opportunity that all of this data from mobile phones, from Facebook, from Twitter brings to a business to even do more with things like sentiment analysis and learn and understand more about their business, not just managing their business, but also managing their competitors as well. And so all of that is causing this big evolution in thinking. So in June, IBM announced our thinking around changing data warehouse architecture. It's called smart consolidation. And what we mean by that is this is both our point of view and our strategy for how we look at changing building a data warehouse. So traditional data warehouse architectures, which we set out to build where we were consolidating everything into one place and built on top of that. It was technically feasible to do that. We have built the database capability and advancements in hardware processing capabilities that we could actually build this all into one monolithic structure. But at some point, because all of the demand on the system for new types of capabilities and analytics for things like big data, it became impractical. And we reached this inflection point where we had this inability to respond to the business. Well, like I said, we created all this demand around leveraging data. Now we had to rethink building the architecture to respond to that. So let's talk about what I mean by that. The first thing is we still really want to, as much as possible, consolidate enterprise data. Now I know it's somewhat unrealistic for a company to say, I'm going to get to one big data store or hub or or enterprise data warehouse because I have 27 of them today. That might be unrealistic. They may be storing their enterprise data in multiple lines of business warehouses, and we understand that. They're already decentralized because they never really got to that big structure where they were able to consolidate. Main reason is it's a very difficult business case to make, but they continue to leverage data and build new applications on top of that data. So one thing is we still want you to consolidate data as much as possible just so you can kind of manage your record of truth for your enterprise. It may be in one system, it may be in several, but we have the tools today that can help you manage your data landscape across your enterprise regardless of where that data sits. So that's one thing. The second thing is we want to optimize the data placement and the workload placement. What do I mean by that? Well, the biggest pain point for a lot of companies is delivering analytics. This goes back to that demand story, right? Those business users, they don't want to wait for answers. We are in an age where and this is another great quote I saw from the IBM CMO study, where a negative blog can lead to an emergency board meeting. You know, in a point where our CMOs, our chief marketing officers, are managing their brands in a way they never have before with data that that they never had to deal with before in large volumes. So we have to be more responsive in order to stay ahead of the game, to stay competitive, and even on a day-to-day management of our brands for our business. So responsiveness is very, very key. In order for us to do that, we really have to look at how we've optimized where our workloads are. So if you're looking at analytics, for example, it may be that the best way to deliver analytics in your enterprise is to use an analytic appliance like Netezza, where you can get it up and running in 24 hours and deliver immediately and make your business people happy. Another opportunity might be is if you're doing operational BI. Operational business intelligence is a high concurrency, real time, where you're really getting out business intelligence to the masses. Let me give you an example. A customer service rep, or even a police officer who's getting information on the job real time to help solve a case. This takes a tremendous amount of power, and to put that on top of your data warehouse structure may not be the most optimized. So to put that on a system like the Smart Analytics using DB2 as the core database technology might be the best optimized way to deliver that capability to your enterprise. So you're starting to hear a story of I guess we can call it decentralization of a monolithic structure that we used to build for the reasons of agility, for responsiveness, and to optimize the performance and the capabilities to meet the needs of the business today.